Good morning, everyone, to Coffee and a Weather Map with Jeff, the Lower Michigan Forecast Edition, September 20th, September 2nd through the 4th, 2025 is the forecast that we're going to do. As you know from yesterday, I'm changing things up. I'm using a little bit different presentation software. This is Google Slides. Yesterday was Apple's Keynote. It was a lot easier to edit, that's for sure. But it does take away some things that I wish I could have in here as well. All right, so let's get into the forecast. Looking at the upper air pattern, the area of low pressure, that's a little deceiving. It's not necessarily moving to the east. It has, when I was looking at if you look at the satellite shot, it is actually moving more to the west, northwest. So it is trying to pull some moisture back out this way and some high clouds. But for the most part, it's not really affecting northern Michigan's weather so much. This other weak trough up here is kind of still moving through, and that's going to play in, especially the center part here, the stronger part of the trough. That will be the main thing going on here going forward. Just to kind of take a look, you can see that there are several fronts across the United States at the moment. The one that will be causing issues in lower Michigan over the next couple of days is this one that's coming up here through getting into the Dakotas and is in part of northwest Ontario. Otherwise, we have one down to the south in the southern plains that's kind of hanging out there. It was one of the pushes of cold air that we've had come down through the upper Great Lakes and the northern plains, but it kind of has fizzled. And of course, down in the Gulf and across Florida and into South Texas, we have this stationary front that's been just kind of hanging out and slowly sliding off to the south, and it's been causing rain issues in Houston and down by Corpus Christi and areas in South Texas. To focus in a little bit more on Michigan, we can see that front off to the northwest. That'll be sliding into the region. Otherwise, temperatures across the area have been in the upper 40s to right around 50 degrees here this morning as things have chilled off, continued that chilly thing. The high is moving off to the east, and it will continue to move off there as these things start to come together. With that, the SPC and WPC outlooks are showing at least a general outlook for thunder up in the Upper Peninsula as well as portions of northwest lower Michigan today into tomorrow morning. That's the one thing about tomorrow morning is probably when most of that stuff is going to even get here. But you do see that off to the west, they do have a marginal risk for severe weather. That's the first one there in western upper and in Wisconsin, and then a marginal risk for heavy rain out in Minnesota. For tomorrow, however, we do have a marginal risk over most of lower Michigan, probably down to about I-96, and also in the Upper Peninsula. Otherwise, it's just a general look for thunderstorms going on for tomorrow. And then looks like the thunderstorms all move out by that time, so we'll see how this goes. But if you look at the forecast, you'll notice that the rain doesn't necessarily stop. Yes, we have gotten into that portion of the year. All right, so let's take a look. Oh, and I just to kind of show you with what's going on around the thunderstorms currently, there's the area out in Minnesota right now that's causing some of the rain, and then things along that front which haven't quite filled in yet but will over time here going on. That's up in Canada. Okay, back to the presentation. So for today's forecast, we have highs mid to upper 70s. Some of the areas downstate here, especially as you get down closer to the Indiana border, are going to be closer to 80 degrees. Tonight, it's still going to be somewhat chilly, although it looks like temperatures are expected by tomorrow morning to be a little bit warmer. We're looking at temperatures in the lower to mid 50s, especially along the lakeshore. We're looking at Muskegon at right around 59 degrees and Ludington around 60. So if that's the case, you know, that'll be one decent night. However, we do have this rain moving in, and as we talked about, there was a general risk of thunderstorms probably by tomorrow morning. And I would suspect that since this is a 24-hour chance for precipitation, this stuff in northwest lower Michigan is not going to get here until sometime after 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then that's when most of this will get in here. The first wave of it would be up here right along the lakeshore from about Ludington up to the Straits. Otherwise, the rest of the area is fairly low on whether or not it's going to get anything, especially as you get further south and east of that line from about Alpena to Muskegon. And then we're well below 10% for chances. All right, for tomorrow, Wednesday, high temperatures start to cool off. Part of it's the rain, part of it's the fact that the cold front's coming through, and we're looking at mid to upper 60s for highs. I think that's going to be probably more like a morning or early or late morning, early afternoon sort of high temperature before things start to cool off. We are at that time of year that when the cool air comes down out of Canada, temperatures will tend to go nowhere during the afternoon hours. However, as you get further downstate to the south and the east, as the front comes through, you know, we're still looking at probably lower 80s over in the Detroit area, at least mid 70s in West Michigan, all the way down to the Indiana border. With that cold air going through, though, then we're looking at the low temperatures for Thursday morning, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, ending up in the lower 40s in northern lower Michigan, probably more like right around 50 again. We will have cloud cover, so we won't get quite as cold as we've been some of these mornings when I've gotten up here in the Muskegon area. And that's due to the radiational effects with light winds and clear skies. So that will be something to pay attention to here over the next day or so. Does not look like we get into the 30s, although I can't rule that out up here in the up around Grayling and areas a little bit around Gaylord there, because that does tend to radiate. And if they're in the lower 40s now, Cadillac, you could possibly see some upper 30s in there over the next for Thursday mornings when you wake up. However, we do have rain. You can see that we're pretty much close to 100% chance during this next 24 hours. So from Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. through Thursday morning at 8 a.m., everybody is expected to get at least 1/100 of an inch of rain across lower Michigan. You know, what's a few percentage points from 100 mean, really? You're probably going to get rain somewhere along the line as that front goes through. All right, so however, once that front is through, it just continues to cool off. This is something that I saw when I was up in northern Michigan a lot. You know, 50s. They're going to struggle to get to 60 in Traverse City. Manistee, probably the same thing. I think the only saving grace with Manistee is that the wind's coming off the lake, and the lake water temperatures are still above 60 degrees, so that does help to boost the temperature a little bit. You know, Ludington's in the same boat, but it's 58 in Cadillac, 54 in Gaylord, so it's not going to be a real fun day. I don't know if anybody really wants to go outside. I didn't even include the beach report for lower Michigan just because this is the day when no one wants to go out to the beach. There could be fishermen, so you know, beware. Winds could still be a little bit on the strong side here after the front goes through, so watch out if you are going to be on any of the lakes. Most of the inland lakes will be fairly choppy, and I think the the Great Lakes, we'll probably see small craft advisories at least. We're going to have 60s in the rest of the lower peninsula. So from Alpena to Muskegon, we're looking at temperatures running roughly 60 degrees to about 65 as you get over towards Lansing. And then to get a little bit warmer, you're going to have high temperatures in Detroit, just a little bit under 70. So we're gonna struggle to get around 70 in part of this area as that cold air just comes down out of Canada. All right, for the low temperatures. Now, I was surprised when I saw this, but since it's still going to be cloudy, I guess it's not as much of a surprise as I thought. Northern Lower Michigan will be in the mid 40s to upper 40s across the area. Here in southern Lower Michigan and across West Michigan over to the southeast Lower Michigan, we're looking at mid to upper 40s into the 50-degree range. So we're getting into that green now. So we're trying to struggle back to 50 degrees here for the overnight lows. However, it is going to be kind of a rainy night, especially in Northwest Lower. Part of this is the backside of some of these lows will tend to hook around and have more precipitation on the backside. And with all this cool air coming down over the lakes, we're probably going to end up with lake effect rain showers along Northwest Lower Michigan down to around Ludington. Probably not here. The winds and here is like just a little north of Muskegon, where I happen to be living at the time. It looks like more of that's just going to be part of that the backside of the low that kind of whips around the backside. You have that dry slot in there as the low moves out, and that's expected to be in southeast Lower Michigan, where they have a 20% chance for rain on Thursday going into Friday, and then it gets a little bit higher as you get back up to the north and west. And with that, we're done with the forecast. So have yourself a great day, plan accordingly. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them on my Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, or now TikTok. So I'm on all those platforms. If you, like I said, if you have any questions or things, then I will discuss them with you. All right, with that, thanks a lot and have a great day.